about David working with David Bowie, and you're like the musical director too, so pretty cool stuff.
Well, I did 2 tours with him. The first one was early on from Zappa. I joined David Bowie. That was 78 and 79. Then how many years went by? 11, I guess. And then suddenly I got a call from him one day saying he was going to do a big world tour, 27 countries. And would I be the music director, guitarist, and bring along my own band?
Wow.
Which was, incredible. My band almost passed out when I told them. And so, yeah, we went, we did 108 shows, went around the world a lot, had Lee Iacocca's private jet and everything. It was rock star heaven. It's, like the best it ever gets. And during that one, I got really close with David because we had a $12 million stage that had to be set up everywhere we went. We had almost 60 people in the crew doing that and setting up video things and all kinds of opera crims. And it was a big task just to put on each single show, which meant we would go, say, to Spain, and the first day, second day there in whatever city, we were off. We'd play on the third day. So that gave me and David a lot of time to hang out and go to museums and dinners and things. And so we really became very good friends. I love him so much, just like I love Frank.
The for the musical director of that, like, what would that involve? I know obviously coordinating songs, but I mean on a bigger picture, like.
Well, as a music director, we had a small band, and David wanted to keep it a 4 piece band. Yeah. With just me and him on stage. The rest of the band was behind an opera scrim, and you couldn't see them. So the task really was to take the songs, arrange them for that, and still make them sound similar to the originals in as many ways as you can. Put them in the right keys, the right arrangements, and so forth. So that came at a time when sampling came around, and we suddenly were buying all these sampling machines, and so that we could sound like an orchestra, or we could have saxophone sections, whatever we wanted. They were being sampled. So this little 4-piece band, we'd come out, we'd start with ground control to major tom, and there'd be a huge orchestra playing with us. It sounded great, amazing. And so that was the big thing for me, was to manage through 40 songs to arrange them in a way that would come off really well, even though it was a small band.
Did David actually take you away from Frank? I know that at the end of touring with Frank at that time, he was going to go start, editing and mixing the Baby Snakes video, and he was going to be off a matter of months. That's when David came and offered you the gig.
That's right. That's in 1978 and 79. What we were just talking about is 1990 Sound and Vision tour. But yeah, in 79, we went with Frank to a European tour for 2 months. What happened, we were in Cologne, and Brian Eno was in the audience. He knew that David was looking for a new guitar player for his upcoming tour. So 2 nights later, we were in Berlin. That's where David lived at the time. David came to the show. I saw him at the monitor mixer. I walked over and said hi to him, and he said, "How'd you like to be in my band?" So now what eventually transpired, because I was, I loved Frank, and I felt funny not continuing with him. But I went to him a few days later when I found out that it was an actual offer. My manager told me, "Yes, this is for real." So I went to the back of the bus, and Frank was sitting there, and I said, "I know you're going to take 4 months off. You've told us that, and you're going to pay us a retainer to do nothing. And, or I've got this offer from David Bowie for 4 months of touring. What do you think I should do?" And I totally left it up to him. And he said, "Well, I think you should go do the Bowie thing and then come back." And I said, "Okay, great." We shook hands on it. That's the way Frank operated.
Right.
And the thing is, though, when he got back, he had fired his band. He started a new band. He went right back out on tour. So he didn't do what he was going to do. And on the David Bowie side, David's tour just kept getting extended further and further, and ended up being 1.5 years. So I never got to go back with Frank. But every time I would visit him, anytime I went to to Los Angeles. Anytime I was there, I took Bill Bruford up there one day to the studio, and we sat around and talked with Frank. It was really great. So we remained really, you know, good friends. But his wife never forgave me.
Really?
Yeah, Gail was, you know, she was his manager and took care of him. And really, I mean, I understood it. She was looking out for him. And here he had, you know, shown me the ropes, and, you know, 3 months of rehearsal, spent money on me, you know, cultivating me for his band. And then I was gone. So I did always feel bad about that. But Frank didn't. He didn't seem to care.
I know you were a self-taught musician, and I know you got thrown into those rehearsals, which would, with Frank, had to be like, forget about it. It had to be so intimidating.
Well, yes, it was extremely intimidating. I did nothing but Frank Zappa 24/7 for 3 whole months. But everyone else, you know, had got sheets of music every Monday. We rehearsed Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 hours, very strong, hardcore rehearsals. On Friday night, though, I would go home with Frank. They would come and pick him up in the car, and I would go with him and stay at his house. So over that weekend, he would be showing me the things that I need to be memorizing by rote, so that the next Monday morning, the bands would get the new pieces of music, and I would already have a leg up a little bit.
Oh, so you actually went back to the house. So it was almost like you became part of the family. Like you were kind of not just a member of the Knucklehead group of all the crazy guys. You were a little bit more under the wing.
All the other guys in the band were LA guys.
Right.
And they were, you know, they were players. They'd been around, you know, they'd worked with the Brecker Brothers and many other tours and things. And quite a few of them had been with Frank for a long time. So, yeah, I mean, I was definitely the new kid on the block, and I don't think they really wanted to hang out with me. I didn't even have a car, so I wasn't the easiest person to hang out. So I hung out with Frank. And even when the tour started, I would sit next to him on the plane and stuff and watch him write some musical notes out or whatever and talk to him and his bodyguard. So that was our little trio, me and John Smothers and Frank. We'd eat breakfast together. It was great. You know, I mean, whatever you might think of Frank Zappa, you might think he's a hardcore guy or maybe very, I don't know. People have hard to work with. I've heard everything about him. Not true for me. For me, he really did take me under his wing. That's a good way to put it. He was my mentor, and he was generous with me, opened his house to me. It was really great. And, you know, the thing was, wow, how brilliant he was and how funny. It was a pleasure to be around him.